Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. And with that being said, I hope that you are all having a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are out there in the world. Tokenization, a term that you guys are probably so tired of hearing, but guess what? You're going to be hearing it for the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Who knows how long? Because at the end of the day, we have confirmation that tokenization, it's the next step. You guys probably remember this article that got posted by CNBC back in January, and it was BlackRock's Larry Fink says Bitcoin ETFs are just the first step in the technological revolution of finance. I feel as though at this point in time, many individuals are getting very distracted. And when I say many, I mean majority. They are looking at the ETFs. That's the only thing that they are looking at. They're saying, oh, look it, ETFs are about to pump my crypto. That's all they care about. They don't care about what happens next. Next is tokenization. Remember what Medico's prior CEO said, right? Custody is the first thing, right? After that, you can build upon custody. Tokenization is the next thing once custody is solved. Medico with Ripple has already solved step one, which is custody. I don't really look at the ETFs as being step one. I actually look at ETFs as being step two. And then after that, we have tokenization. Tokenization is going to see the most amount of money disrupted. And it's also going to bring the most amount of money on chain. There was 2 videos that actually got posted regarding Larry Fink. The first one was obvious. This was going all the way back to, I think, the middle of 2023. It was so obvious at this point that they are ready. They are here. They have been preparing for years. Listen closely.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, well, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement.
They already told you what their focus is, right? Instant settlement, a distributed ledger technology that allows you to see transparent information. This is the full focus. This is the largest asset management company out there, literally telling you what's going on. Now, after this, because again, this was like the middle, or I think even the beginning of 2023, we got this just recently, and this was after the ETFs. World's largest asset management and investment company is bullish on tokenization.
We believe the next step going forward will be the tokenization of financial assets. And that means every stock, every bond will have its own, basically, CUSIP. It'll be on one general ledger. Every investor, you and I, will have our own number, our own identification. We could rid ourselves of all issues around illicit activities about bonds and stocks and digital by having a tokenization. But the most importantly thing, we could customize strategies through tokenization that fits every individual. We would have instantaneous settlement. Think about all the costs of settling bonds and stocks. But if you had a tokenization, everything would be immediate because it's just a line item. And so we believe this is a technological transformation for financial assets. I believe if you want to talk about voting and voting choice and all the things, if we know every moment who is the owner of that stock and it's now time to vote, every individual who has ownership is identified and they can vote their own shares.
Is this the end of mutual funds?
I think, well, a lot of people, it's a wrapper. It's not the end of it, but I would say the dominant form of bringing products going forward will be in the form of ETFs.
So there you guys have it. And again, as we really look at what's going on around tokenization, I go back to this video, right? This is a video that recently just got posted, and this is Paul Barron, right? They're finally realizing this. We already knew that this was the end goal. Thesis: the spot Bitcoin ETF attracts institutions but acts more as a sideshow, while the real value lies in the use cases of individual digital assets. The CEO of Kyrock is talking about really the big show is in the thesis other digital assets. These are increasing decentralization, creating new and more options towards financial autonomy. Check this out.
Some of the blue chip assets that would be dropping as well. In fact, here's the CEO of Kyrock. He's talking about really the big show is in these other digital assets. Listen in.
Positive. But I think it should also be put into perspective that the ETFs are kind of a sideshow to actually using digital assets to create value for everyday people and for everybody to use the concept of digital value being fully digitally represented, increasing decentralization, creating new options towards a financial autonomy. That's the main thing, right? And then you say how can we increase distribution of the asset and allow more people to benefit from price appreciation? It's good as well, but in my perspective, it should not take the focus away from what is the most important. Is like how can we actually use fully digital representation of value and use that to create something where we have more options, to create and exchange value as individuals.
And I apologize, it was Kyrock, not Kyrock. I was just kind of reading this. But regardless, right, the focus here is, we can't be distracted by the Bitcoin ETF nonsense, right? Everyone is looking at the ETFs, and they are notable, right? You can see how much demand there is around the ETF for Bitcoin. But regardless of that, I feel as though now everyone is talking about, all right, what's going to be the next one? Is it going to be Ethereum ETFs? Is it going to be XRP ETFs? Who cares? Who cares? The actual thing of value that we should be looking at is utility behind these digital assets. I don't care about BlackRock launching an XRP ETF. I don't care about if an ETF is going to pump XRP because we don't need ETFs to pump XRP. I've talked about this 100 times over now. The ETF discussion around XRP and why XRP needs it, it's ridiculous. But beyond this, David Schwartz put out his analysis regarding 2024. And this was it was spotlighting real world asset tokenization. This will be a driving force in 2024. It is real estate, commodities, treasuries, bonds, other types of securities being leading use case. And yes, this is exactly what Larry Fink also told you. He's talking about how, treasuries, commodities, securities, the securities aspect is the big one because the big players are already here. The DTCC is already here. They are settling $2.5 quadrillion per year. Tokenized treasuries could reach $5 billion as businesses recognize the value of having digital tokens versus physical assets. This could unlock liquidity and open up new avenues for investment, asset management. The closer you are to finance, the lower hanging the fruit is. Houses and real estate are a little bit more complex because there are so many more factors there. Regulatory obstacles, anything that requires regulatory movement is not going to happen quickly. Institutional adoption of real-world asset tokenization is happening quicker. Difference between a tangible real-world asset like a house or an intangible real-world asset like a treasury bond, which is easier to tokenize because a market already exists. Government bonds are the first things to be started with. And check this out.
Asset tokenization. I've said that I think it's going to be a driving force in the next year with things like real estate, commodities, treasuries, bonds, other types of securities being leading use cases. My colleague Marcus Inkbanger predicted that tokenized treasuries could reach $5 billion as businesses recognize the value of having digital tokens versus physical assets. And this could unlock liquidity and open up new avenues for investment, asset management, so on. I'm going to ask you about, I guess I'll start by asking you if I'm crazy.
You're not crazy because real world assets are already a trend. Where I think you are crazy is houses and real estate because there are so many more factors there.
Yeah, the regulatory obstacles obviously are, I think there's going to be some place in the world that's going to let that happen. And then of course, if that works out well, but yeah, probably not within a year, right? That's probably anything that requires regulatory movement is not going to happen quickly. What about institutional adoption of real world asset tokenization?
Yeah, that I see happening on a quicker scale. There's also the difference of, is it a tangible real world asset like a house or an intangible real world asset like a treasury bond? One is much easier to tokenize than the other, and one already has, like a culture and a market around it of high volume trading where people want to buy and sell these things all the time. So you kind of you don't really have to tell people why they want it. They already want it. And you just get a few more benefits from putting it on chain. So you already see protocols like Maker using it. They do stable coins, and then you have some more like Goldfinch and Centrifuge. I think they've been doing real world assets for a while, but it's already there to a degree. And you mentioned like government bonds. Those are the first kinds of things I'm seeing get a little more adoption.
I think the low-hanging fruit, like the closer you are to finance, the lower hanging the fruit is, and the further away from it you are, the harder it is, right?
Agreed.
All right, let's talk about security.
So again, as we really look at Ripple, I do think that Ripple is more positioned at the forefront of this tokenization revolution because they have also been focused on it for many years now. I mean, Ripple just didn't start talking about tokenization in the last 12 months. No, they've been talking about it for like the last 5 years or so. I mean, they have been at the forefront of this. And I do believe that the XRP ledger is perfectly positioned for this. But what's great about all of this, right, is we are now witnessing even regulatory bounds being taken and revolutionized. Over here we have from Smoke Dog, very important legal development that seems to happen very quietly. SEC adopts new rules for crypto asset securities. Transactions involving smart contracts and automated market makers. The legal pathway for tokenization of financial assets is being laid down as we speak. And here we actually have that, right? We could see everything regarding the tokenization revolution coming into place. Everything's falling into place. And I really think that a lot of individuals are completely distracted. They're more so looking at things happening in a very fast amount of time. But they fail to realize that even if you have been holding XRP for the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, guess what? First off, XRP, it might not have gained a tremendous amount, but if you did buy the lows in 2020, for an example, did a 16x, it has done very well. But also, everything that we have been talking about since going all the way back to 2021, because that's when I did start the YouTube channel, everything is coming into fruition. And when we look at those steps being taken, and we go back to listening to Larry Fink and all these big players around the traditional financial space, guess what? They all hinted at what is coming. In the adopting release, the SEC specified that the new rules apply to all securities. As such, any trading activity involving crypto asset securities that falls within the expanded dealer definition may result in a person having to register as a dealer. Any person using a smart contract, automated market maker, or other all-to-all or peer-to-peer execution arrangements may have to register as a dealer if their activity qualifies under the new rules and they do not meet any of the above exceptions. Now, we've talked about this a little bit, but it seems as though a lot of moves are being made around this. We've addressed the idea of automated market makers. A lot of people thought that this was to slow the AMM down for the XRP ledger. I don't necessarily think that that is the case. I personally see a lot of the big moves being made around this, really kind of hinting and focusing on more so the tokenization revolution. We don't get to the end goal, which if we look at the end goal, we can actually see over here. Big shout out to ISO 2922. Let's do it. We have, according to BlackRock, the tokenization of asset classes offers the prospect of driving efficiencies in capital markets, shortening value chains, and improving costs and access for investors. And here we actually have the value acquisition of this. So $867 trillion, the size of traditional markets poised for disruption by tokenization. And this is the World Economic Forum. That was 2021. Guys, it's now over $1 quadrillion. Go and look at all the markets that they put out in that report. It's over $1 quadrillion. 97% of institutional investors agree that tokenization will revolutionize asset management. Guys, all of the institutions are now ready. And Citi in 2023 said 80x expected growth rate of tokenization in private markets by 2030. It's no joke. You need to focus on this. If you are not, you will be left behind. But guess what? That's why everyone is getting distracted by the Bitcoin ETF talk. Many and majority will be left behind. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.